Good day, everyone. It's Christy from Green Eyed Tarot. Today I'm here to do a walkthrough of this deck, the Naïve Tarot. This deck is by Isa Watt. This is a French deck, so I ordered it directly from the creator's website, which you can see is here. It's Isa Watt, ISAWATT.fr. So I will definitely link everything in the description box below as to where you can get this deck. The creator's email is also on the back of here. It says isawatt69@gmail.com. But I did order this directly from the creator's website. So this is like I said, a French deck, but is so fun and very easy to interpret and read which cards are which. So it's okay that the titles of the cards are in French. I actually speak a little French, so it is a little bit easier for me to read the cards. But I believe if you're familiar with tarot, it should be very easy to figure out which cards are which just by the imagery. So it just comes in this little tuck box. Nothing really fancy, but that's okay with me. I'm okay. I don't really care about boxes and things like that for decks. But these are the backs. They're super colorful and super fun. And the size, in terms of size, they're definitely not standard tarot size. This is, it's definitely a little bit more square. I believe they're shorter and a little wider. So not too big. They're not like, I don't think they're oracle size, but they are definitely not your standard tarot size. And they are like, I'm trying to think, the cardstock is just sort of like, it's like one of those like smooth, it's like very smooth. It's not matte, but it's not really glossy either. It has like a kind of like a silky feel to the cardstock. It's not edged. It's pretty like basic, like it almost feels like the Superior Smooth cardstock from Make Playing Cards. If anyone's familiar with that. So, but these are the backs. Like I said, I think they're super colorful, super fun. So I figured we would just take a look. It's really, to me, like really whimsical, really fun artwork. So this obviously is the Fool. There's no number on, so this is the 0 card 0, but pretty, like I said, pretty standard Rider-Waite-Smith inspired imagery. So again, like the fact that this deck is in, I absolutely love the little details in this deck. And that's really what drew me to get this deck in the first place, is just in each card, just the little details. Like if you can see, the Fool is stepping from a completed, what looks like a written page, to a blank page. I absolutely love that. And so just being able to look at the cards and find all these little sort of thoughtful details that really help to expand on what we know, what we traditionally look at the Fool as. So the Fool is stepping off of a written page onto a blank page, right? So that unknown, like what is the journey going to be? I don't know. What is going to be written? What's the story? What's the story going to be? And so I just absolutely think that is genius. I also like the way sort of this almost looks like clouds, and then like you have the clear sky and the sun. So sort of moving out of the clouds into the clear, like blue sky. So just stepping into that, something new and into the unknown. But it's such a positive, to me, it has such a positive energy, like really hopeful, super hopeful and optimistic energy. So I just love that the Fool is stepping off a written page to a blank page. I just, like I said, this is what brought me, really, really kind of drew me to this deck. And so here we have the Magician. I love the traditional imagery, right? A rabbit out of the hat, like thinking of a actual real like performing magician. But then all of these hands, like I love that all the hands are in different positions. Like you have the magician's hands holding the table, like, which reminds me of like stability, like really grounding, right? Like we're holding, we have this like steady sort of hand on our own like power, right? We're grounded in it. And then just like the very, like I like this like very like Zen, you know, sort of looking hand. And then we have one that's holding the infinity, right? The lemniscate like symbol, and then one holding the world. It's just that idea of having all the tools you need and sort of having a hand in all the elements and connected to all the elements of the earth, like holding that earth above. And then you have this giant sun, or it could be a moon. It could be a giant moon, but like I see the sun. Obviously with the Magician card, I see the sun, you know, this big sun. I just think, again, I love how this was interpreted. I love how the artist and creator chose how to interpret that. And there we have the High Priestess. Again, so many little details, and like the ones I guess that I'll point out, and I can't point out all of them. We're going to be here forever. It's going to be a very long video, but I love that she has a like a telescope, right, for vision. And then you see she has like this listening horn like coming out of her ear for hearing. And she's got her feet on this like stone. So again, she's grounded. But like you can see, there's this like beam of light coming out of her head, like directly from the top of her head, which to me is like sort of that connection to like higher knowledge. And she's got her open book on her lap. I love this little box, like with this little like, I don't know, it just looks like a shadow. So to me, that was the little nod to sort of hidden or veiled, right? We usually think of like the veil, or like the High Priestess sort of like knowing, having that veiled knowledge and like that hidden knowledge. And so to me, that's like the shadow. And then I love that there's this hand reaching from outside the card that she's connected to as well. It's just so well done. This image of the High Priestess using all of her senses, and to access, like using all of her senses to access that higher knowledge, that wisdom, and accessing the shadow as well for that veiled, you know, hidden knowledge and hidden wisdom. And then there's like a stack of books, and you sort of just see them, you know, like she's not gonna stop, right, until she's absorbed and taken in all of that knowledge. And she just looks so intuitive. Like she's so in tune. She's so attuned. Attuned is the word I'm looking for. So I just love it with all, like I said, all this imagery with the senses, her touch, her hearing, her sight, you know, her mind, like that, you know, like the it's just so, it's so well done. I just love it. I just think it embodies the High Priestess so well. So here we have the Empress. And I, again, love the imagery of like the tree. Like she's wearing a hat that looks like a tree that's like flowering with all these blooms on it. So that blooming, you know, that blooming energy. And, you know, obviously she has like children. There's a cat. Like it's a very, she's got this lush like greenery, you know, so you can feel that sort of that very fertile, very earthy energy, that blooming and that, you know, sort of garden, like that garden of fertility and garden of abundance, like energy. I love it. I think it's, like I said, so well done. And then it's so interesting. I think these are boxes, like, and to me, this is like the connection. I think that's what they are. To me, that's what they look like. They look like boxes or like containers. And to me, it like sort of reminds me of like that connection to earthly or like material goods. Like, so just having like that material world, right? The physical world. To me, that's what I see. Again, I don't know what the creator and artist was going for, but to me, I see like boxes that could symbolize like again, that connection to the material world and the physical, the tangible, and like abundance. And here we have the Emperor. Love this card. Again, so many details, so many little things. I love that there obviously you still have the foundation, like that solid foundation, but there's also a rear view mirror like coming off of this throne. And then there's these, these like big rigs that are like construction rigs. So we think of like engineering or building, right? Like building that off of that solid foundation, like really that sort of innovative mind and like that authority, but like building off of and building and constructing. And then I love the fist like coming down, and like you can see there's sort of an action there. And to me, that's the authority, right? That really stable, grounding authority. That's sort of like a leader, and like that stability, and that, you know what I mean? That is really like, you can tell is confident and again, I love this, like, and I love the rear view, like that authority of like, even though he's like facing forward, he can still see in the rear view. Like he's got almost like eyes in the back of his head. Like he's almost like omnipotent. Like I'm everywhere and like I can see behind me, or like even though I'm looking forward, I'm always kind of looking in the rear view as well. And then like watching that progress and that power, like that power and authority. And like, I love it. I just thought that rear view mirror was so genius coming off of there. So just adds so many different, it just adds additional layers of meaning to what we already know about the cards. So here we have the Hierophant, pretty traditional. You have a very like authoritative looking figure, holding his hand, holding their hand up. And, you have these figures that look like they're getting married, and then you have younger, and I like the idea, like there's one, like a human figure without a shirt on. So like almost like that naked, like that young, right? Like we have this sort of like progression from younger to old. So sort of that community, right? Like community wisdom. Like you're going to have the younger, more naive. You're going to have the people, the adolescents who are like, further along in their journey. You're going to have the people who are, who are a little bit older, who are like in middle age, and then you have the wisest. So just that feeling of like a hierarchy. I just think it's genius the way this artist has conveyed sort of that hierarchical, is that a word? Hierarchy in like a community or a society. And how, there's people of a certain age of wisdom, that bring wisdom to it, and everyone's sort of on their own learning, right? Getting to learn what matters to them and where they fit into society and where their ambitions are and things like that. I just think that this is a great way to illustrate this hierarchy, that feeling of, that there's people at different stages, and like that sense of community. And then we have a very traditional Lovers card. The one thing I love about this Lovers card is you have all these little like these little like cupids, and like, but some of them look totally like imps, like impish, like that they're not exactly up to all good. And then you have this one that looks like a little devil, which I think is fabulous for the Lovers card. Again, just different layers of meaning in these cards. So just having that little devil figure, that's sort of like, okay, the lovers, and like, yes, it's, we have this choice, right, that has to make. It's like, but are we like entering it into with a clear, like a heart, a clear mind? Like, do we have the right like motivations? Like, what is driving this? And, how much are we committing to this as a choice? Are we fully committing? I don't know. I just love this little sort of like impish looking, devilish looking Cupid, so that it's not all, it's not all like love and roses. It's like there's complications and complicated feelings around the lovers and what the lovers represents. So I love that. Love that little, like, just that little piece, that little hint. So here we have the Chariot, pretty traditional, no reins. We don't see the reins, sort of like driving forward with that force of will. So there's no reins on the horses, pretty traditional. Love this Strength card. Again, we get that sort of carnival feel, just like the Magician was a traditional sort of looking performing magician. Here we have a a circus act, and we have the lion, and I like that the lion is sort of cheekily winking as if he knows something, you know what I mean, that this figure here, this female figure, doesn't know. Like almost like the lion has some sort of, like, she thinks she has control over me, but who's really in control? So I like that little added, like, little cute, like, little cheeky little wink from the lion. Like, who's really in control here? Like, who's in control of who, and who has control, and what is strength, you know, really represent? Is it control? Is it that sense of having control? Is strength really from having self-control, right? Rather than, like, being, like, forceful and using physical force or brute force, is, like, having that self-control actually strength. So I just love that the lion is winking and he's like, I know something you don't know. So here, Hermit, again, pretty traditional. What I love about this is that it's like a cityscape. I don't know, I just love it. I love that there's, like, he's in the city. And I also love this really neat detail of him sort of leaving footprints, almost like a trail of breadcrumbs, because we know that he's not going to retreat forever. Like, he's going to, you know, it's a momentary time of reflection and solitude, but that he's going to retreat back into the world. Like, so almost like this, he can follow his, like, leaving those footsteps so that he can be found again. It's not like a forever, you know, type of solitude. So I like that little detail. I also love that there's little rats. Like, I don't know if you can see, but there's little, like, mice or rats in this, like, looks like a trash heap. Like, it looks like a bunch of trash or things that people have thrown out. And so I like it. To me, that's like, it reminds me of, like, the hermit, like, sort of rising above, like, the noise and the chatter and, like, the everyday, you know, like, hustle and bustle. Like, I don't want to say, like, rising above or, like, retreating from the garbage, but, like, sort of, like, yeah, retreating, like, kind of, like, getting away from all that, like, garbage that could be muddying, like, your thinking and, like, your ability to, like, reflect, and heading off into the solitude, like, in the middle of the night. Like, it reminds me of, like, the quiet of the night, and that even in the city, like, in a city that's bustling like this, like, finding time, like, moments of, like, silence and solitude. So I love that. Okay, here we have the wheel. So we have the Wheel of Fortune. Again, pretty traditional. Again, I'm always like cards that sort of give you that image of someone at the top of the wheel and someone being crushed by the wheel. And sort of, so I like this imagery of, like, someone actually turning the wheel, someone riding it, like, joyfully, like, riding it. And you can see they look like they're sort of I don't know if they're juggling or, like, they've picked something from this tree. I don't know. It just reminds me of, like, hey, I'm in my prime, like, I'm at the top of my game, like, I'm riding the top of this wheel, like, everything's going so good. And then, but you have, like, this person who almost looks like an older version, like, now that I'm looking at it, it almost looks like this could be, like, an older version, like, of the future. Like, you know, like, you're not always going to be on the top of this wheel, and, like, it's going to keep turning, and eventually you could end up being crushed by it. So there's going to be ups and downs, right, in this cycle of life, and, like, understanding that there's going to always be that wheel turning. So I love this. I love this imagery. And like I said, I kind of just noticed, like, this could be, like, an older version of, like, this person, right? Like a young, like, this is the young, and then this is like young and free and carefree, like, just like the Fool. And then now we're toiling, right? We're working, you know, we have some adversity, we have some challenges, like, but we're making good, but then all of a sudden we're being crushed by the wheel. And, like, so this reminds me of, like, the cycle of life, the wheel of time. So yeah, I love that. I love that I'm discovering little things. I only, like, briefly went through this, so I apologize. It's a very chatty video, but I'm kind of, like, seeing things. There's so much to look at in these cards. Okay, so here we have Justice. So I love Justice. The thing I noticed is, like, her one, like, breast out. And, like, that was, like, one of the things I noticed was just this bare breast when I was looking through these. And I'm like, what could that symbolize? And I was just thinking of, like just thinking about justice and the balance of justice. So like it to me, it also is just exhibiting that balance, right? She's like covered up on one side, but there's one side completely bare, right? And how justice has like those two sides, to it. So I love, the scales are there. I like that there's an open book, so that there's this feeling of knowledge. Like there's facts that you have to have. I feel like justice is very grounded in factual information. So like I like that the book is there, because that sort of reminds me of facts. And then there's also some sort of, to me, the gift represents chance. Like there's almost like a sense of chance with justice at times too. There's this like feeling of, like I said, chance. Like there's some kind of like, we don't know, right? This unknown. So there's facts, and then there's just like destiny and fate. And I like too that there's like the hand above that also, again, like to me symbolizes wisdom, right? Like a wisdom, also too, maybe like a protection. I like this mandala that's like right behind, this mandala. To me, that's like there's like a feeling of focus. Like she seems very focused. I don't know. So that's what I'm getting from this justice card. Could be like way off, but here we have the Hanged Man, or the Hanged One. Again, pretty traditional. I like the owl in the tree. Again, to me, it reminds me of like there's an owl there going like there's a sense of wisdom, or that that you're not there. Like you're not there forever, and that this is a temporary situation. Like there's that understanding that. I also like that the figures like arms are crossed. And like there's this just like this, to me it feels very like yeah, I know, like I can get myself down. Like I'm pretty sure I can, get myself out of this situation, but I'm just sitting here and thinking about like the way we think about the different perspective, like seeing it from a different perspective, pausing to see things from a different perspective. I also do like that his hat has fallen off and his shirt is like up, like his shirt has like, because gravity, that will do that to you, right? Gravity will cause your shirt to go flying up and your hat to fall off if you're upside down. So a sense of disruption. This is like, to me, giving me a sense of disruption. And then there's like a sleeping cat. Again, it's sort of giving me that other side of it, that it's a pause. So there's a no action, like no action happening right now. Nothing's happening. So he's napping. There's nothing happening. The owl's like, are you going to get yourself down? Like, are you going to, you kind of know what you have to do. Once you gain this perspective, I think you know what you have to do, and you have the wisdom, and, there's that like disruption piece to it. I don't know. That's what I'm getting from it, with the clothes being sort of like disheveled and the hat. So here we have Death, which I think is like one of the cutest death cards I've ever seen, even though there's a severed head on the floor. So I kind of love this. You have the sickle, but I love how the sickle has like, it looks like a wand almost, or like a branch with like buds coming. So that feeling of death, like cutting off, and then, but like rebirth, like new growth, cutting it off for new growth. So I like that. I love that little detail there. And then, the severed head is like, okay, like we're cutting off old thinking patterns. Like to me, the head, and like thinking about the brain and like the mind, like if we cut off the head, like does the body still know? Like does the know? So like thinking about cutting off the thoughts and really sort of renewing our thoughts. Like it's a rebirth of a new mindset. So I like this idea of like, to me, I'm looking at it as like a mindset. And I also love how like half of this is in like shadow with the moon, and the other one is like a little lighter, and we have this growth, right? So we're like almost like making room for new growth, right? We have to, what I was thinking too is like, how like babies, and you have to forgive me because I I work in the field of like infant and toddler mental health and infant and toddler brain development. So I'm always thinking about babies' brains. So forgive me, but just thinking about how pruning happens in the brain, how those things, like those connections that you don't use, the brain automatically gets rid of them because you don't need them. They're serving no purpose. So to me, it's like pruning. It's like, okay, the head's like, we're getting rid of like that, the things like these thought patterns that are they're not serving you, or like these anything that the way that you're thinking. So we need new mindset. We need to make room for new growth now. So I just love this card because I feel like it really exhibits that like so well. And I love how he's dressed like a farmer with like little like gardening gloves on and overalls. Like, I don't know, I just love it. This is one of my favorite death cards ever. Okay, speed it up. Here we have Temperance. Again, pretty traditional, with the exception of I love the candy. Like this, the candy. I love that feeling of balance. Like, you know, like too much candy and like you're going to be at the dentist. Like you're going to have diabetes. Like you're going to, you know, like there's all of this like stuff that's bad. Like you can't eat too much candy. You're going to get sick. You're going to get a stomach ache. Like there's too much candy is never good, right? So there's that sense of balance, like finding the balance. Like you can have candy, but you can't just sit and eat candy, right? And there's got to be a balance. And I like that there's like this vase, or like it just looks like a piece of pottery that's been broken. So like again, like you can only bend so far until you break. So we need sort of that temperance, that resilience, like when you pull a rubber band and like how far can you stretch it before it snaps? So we let it come back to the middle, right? We let it come back. If we take a rubber and we let it come back to the middle. So it just reminds me of like a stretchy band. We can't stretch too far. It's going to snap. So just that feeling of balance. The devil, pretty traditional devil. I just love that he's like got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He's got like a bottle. I like that there's like palm trees in the back, almost like he's beckoning you, like this is paradise. Like come, to my paradise where like these palm trees are growing. And he's got the chained individuals. And then there's like this lion or a tiger like next to him. So, pretty traditional. Thinking about temptation and vices and addiction and things like that. Here we have the Tower. Again, I love this Tower card because of this dichotomy. Over here, we're falling on our head, and over here, we're celebrating. We got streamers and confetti. It's like embracing the positive of the destruction that is the Tower, the upheaval. Nobody likes the upheaval. Nobody wants to fall on their head and be turned upside down and have their world turned upside down. But in the end, confetti. This reminds me of my divorce. It reminds me of my divorce because it was such a horrible upheaval in my life. But in the end, it was the best thing for me and for everyone, for the other party involved, for everyone who cared about us and loved us. It was the best thing. And so streamers and confetti, absolutely. Did I get a cake on the day my divorce was final? You bet. My friends bought me a D-Day cake, a happy D-Day cake, because it was closing that chapter and it was understanding that I needed that upheaval and that rocking my whole foundation, my world to the core. It was needed. It was necessary for me to come out the other side. So I love this Tower card. Like, yes, throw the party and throw the confetti, even if it doesn't seem like there's a reason to party right now or celebrate anything. So here we have the Star. Again, pretty traditional. I feel like it's, pretty traditional Star card. I like the baby. I like that there's like a baby on the shore there. The baby to me symbolizes hope. Hope for new things to come. Hope for a return to, innocence, and hope to, just hope for new beginnings and new starts. To me, the baby, definitely, represents that. The rest of the card, again, is pretty traditional. I like the rainbow. I like that rainbow that symbolizes sort of like, that rainbow after the rain, right? That hope, you know, after the storm. And here we have the moon. Again, pretty traditional. I like that this, excuse me, is two faces facing each other. And I love that there's ghosts. There's ghosts coming out, right? So it makes me think of like the ghosts that are in our closet, right? The skeletons, or like the ghosts that are haunting us, right? From the shadows, those things that we don't want to face. So there's sort of ghosts that haunt us and haunt our thoughts. And I love that there's like, this little figure is meditating. And I feel like under this moon and meditating, it's like, I really feel like is trying to come to terms with the ghosts. And then like, I love that this side is like birds taking flight. So just coming to terms with and dealing with the ghosts, right? So that we can move on. So our thoughts can be lighter and freer and we can have a clearer like path, you know, we have a path to clarity. So I think, and then I don't know if you can see, there's a face in the water looking up too. So again, that murky, giving me that like murky depths energy, like that feeling of being underwater and like where everything is muffled and like you're not sure what's real and like you can't see well and it's murky and like that's the moon energy to me. Like there's illumination to be had, but like when you're in the depths and you can't hear and you can't see, that's the shadow like aspect to me of this card. Again, I love it. These details, amazing. And here we have the sun, which I think is so beautiful. Just this big, bright, brilliant sun and these hands clasped, right? These hands, like just that connection and energy, the energy you get from holding hands with someone or just touching another human being, having that connection. I love it. I think it's a beautiful sun card. And here we have Judgment. Not my favorite. Judgment is always one that's like never my favorite in a deck. I don't know. I struggle with the Judgment card. I do like that they're nude and they're naked. So it's that sense of renewal and like, you know, like casting off like all the things, like all the crap we've been through, like when you're taking off your clothes and you're just naked, you know, you're naked and it's that sense of freedom and renewal. And I like the trumpet, like coming from the sky, you know, that we're looking up and we're looking forward and we're taking into account what we've been through. Like I like that there's like a figure that's sort of like, you know, like thinking about and kind of like the reckoning aspect of Judgment. And then, you know, you sort of have like, this looks like the tired, like the exhausted, you know, sort of like energy of Judgment. And then you have the joyous, you know, the joyous energy. I like this. This to me is like it's a cycle. To me, this is like a cycle. Like they're just emerging, right, from this coffin, like emerging from the shadows. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot to reckon with. So like that reckoning. And here we have a very, very beautiful world card. So again, pretty traditional. Lots of traditional elements in there in terms of having the earth and then having the different corners here symbolized in the fish, in the dove, in the fire, the ladybug. So yeah, it's pretty traditional. All right, so here we have the swords, and I promise I am not going to spend that much time on each card. So here we have the Ace of Swords. Here we have the Two of Swords. I love this Two of Swords. Genius. Again, to me, genius. Genius. The blindfold and the two paint colors. So that's sort of, I have to make a decision. Sometimes we think too much, we're too stuck on trying to figure out which one to go with. Should I paint the room red or should I paint it blue? They're vastly different colors. These rooms are going to look so different and feel so different depending on how, right? So like I'm stuck in this, like, what do I do? What do I do? Red is so bold. That's such a bold choice. Blue is so serene. Like, what am I going to do? I'm overthinking this. I'm like literally overthinking this and I can't figure it out. And I just need to blindfold myself and pick one. Like mix it up and just pick one. Pick the color and be okay with that choice, right? That's what we're going with. And I'm going to be okay with it. It's like, that's the Two of Swords. So I love it. Ugh, this one, the Three of Swords, right? So how often have we seen the Three of Swords with, the heart with the piercing? So every time I see a Three of Swords, that's not that. I get so excited. So this is literally a figure holding their heart space, like with their arms crossed and just crying a lake of tears, a river of tears coming from their eyes. So you feel that heartbreak just emptying out, just oozing out of this person's eyes. So it's really, truly just heartbreak. And like I said, you just feel it coming out, just out of everywhere, out of the eyes, you know what I mean? Out of their heart. Like it's coming out. So I love it. I love that it's not the traditional. So here we have the 4. So I like this image of rest. I love that. There's a cat. There's a dog. Look at the 1 foot. Who sleeps like this? 1 foot out of the cover so you can, nice cool air. You can feel the air on your foot. Who sleeps like this? I do this all the time, so I love it. I feel like seen. But I like that there's like a cozy fire. It's not, it's that restful sleep. It's rest. I'm bone weary, like sleeping, like rest, that I'm in my bed and I'm sleeping in a comfortable, right? The way that I like to sleep. And it's just that peace for a rest, the pause, right? In the middle of the swords, which is so like full of conflict and anguish and heartbreak. And this is just a moment. It's like after, I don't know about anyone else, but I had like a really bad day, or if I had like a really long day, really trying day, like I just want to be home. And sometimes all I can think about is like getting into my bed. I'm exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. I've exhausted, my brain. I'm mentally and emotionally exhausted, and I just fall into bed, and it's like the best thing. So here we have the 5. I love this. I love this feeling of like walking, like this sense of sort of walking away. And like, I know, I love the depiction with like the cloud, like you see it's like really dark and stormy, and then it's like still cloudy, and then like, oh, it's like partly sunny, and then it's like full sun. Like, I think that that's amazing. And I'm trying to figure out what they're tossing over their shoulder. Like, it looks like a sponge. Okay, so now I get it, because there's water all over the floor. That's ingenious. The sponge, and like thinking about the 5 of Swords, and like I love like this idea of like throwing in the towel, like something about like throwing in the towel, except in this one it's throwing in the sponge. And I think that that's so smart. Like, this deck creator is just so smart in the way that they're representing these cards. And just, it's like the difficulty of trying to clean up all of that water with this little sponge. And it's like, forget it. Like, I'm never going to be able to clean this up. Like, walking away from that thing that you can't win. I'm never going to clean up all of this water with this little tiny sponge. Like, are you kidding me? So it's like choosing to kind of walk away when you know, like, that you're not going to be able to do this. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to win this one. And then sort of that stormy situation and like the better date, like better things on the horizon, like, just walk away. Like, I can't clean this up. So here we have the 6. Pretty traditional with the sort of the like heading for better shores, right? Heading for calmer shores, leaving a situation, like leaving lots of, I like that there's like bags on the shore, Like there's still so like leaving some of that baggage, taking only what you need, and heading for nice sunny green pastures. Heading for greener pastures here. So like that, the 7. I love this. I think this is the cutest, like so cute for like that feeling of deception, right? And betrayal. I love it. And I like it. I like that, like, we don't know. Is this bird stealing out of these nests? Is this bird bringing it to them as like a gift? We don't know. It's sort of like betrayal. Am I being betrayed? Am I betraying? Am I the one betraying? Am I being betrayed? Like, we don't know, right? Is this a gift? Like, are we stealing from this lovely parrot couple's nest? Or are we bringing them a gift? A housewarming gift? So who's betraying who and where's the betrayal? I love it. Okay, 8 of Swords. Oh my God, look at this 8 of Swords with her head in a cage. Holy crap. Like, your mind is locked into, and I love that she's like a butterfly. So like a butterfly who's able to like fly away and like can be light and airy and like is probably able to fly above this if she could just get out of her own head. So like the feeling of movement and like not being able to move because you can't get out of your own way. Like that feeling of being blocked, mental block, and that helplessness and being confused. Her head's in a cage. Okay, I'm way too excited about this deck, but I just think it's amazing. Look at this, the 9 of Swords. Like, again, I'm not sure that like I've ever been like, oh, this is the cutest 9 of Swords. I mean, yeah, there's definitely decks that like I've found that are cute, but like this is something there's so cute about this 9 of Swords. So again, we're thinking about the sort of that anxiety, and like this person is like laying awake and like look at all these monsters just in their face. Like just that anxiety, that insomnia, not being able to sleep because you're so anxious and overwhelmed. Oof. This person has had better days, right? So here we see the 10 of Swords. Always a fave. And I like this depiction. I mean, when we're thinking about like utter defeat, I mean, this person looks like... What's interesting is that there isn't an arrow straight through the center, so there's no bullseye. So like, to me, that symbolizes like we can come back from this. Like you can recover and you can come back from this. So I see this being something that can be recovered from because there's no bullseye. It's like there's not that one that's straight through her. So I think about, there's definitely anguish and defeat, that sort of like utter defeat and like, not sure, you know what I mean? How she's going to move on from this. Like, I'm not sure, but, maybe that they can definitely overcome this because there's no bullseye. So, not through the heart. So here we have the Page. So cute. The Page. It's like a little chess player. Just trying to figure out the strategy, right? Anyone who's ever tried to learn chess, I did. It was awful. Like, I consider myself pretty good at games, but oh my gosh, chess. Chess is a lot. So I feel for this little Page of Swords who's like, I don't know. I'm just not there yet. I'm not a master yet. Haven't mastered chess. And here we have the Knight of Swords. Very action. Lots of action going on here. That horse sure looks determined as well. It almost looks like, though, like the mind like racing almost. Like, I think of like the swords being like the mind and like mind like racing because this is a racing horse. So think of like maybe like allowing the mind to race and not like settling like way too like quick to allow the mind to race and run away. The mind's running away with itself. Here we have the Queen of Swords. I love this little mathematician or like a math teacher just figuring out these big, complex things. Clarity and just understanding really complex issues of the mind. And here we have the king, a surgeon, a brain surgeon. Looks like a brain surgeon. We're looking at the skull. I think that's genius. A brain surgeon for the King of Swords. Love it. All right, so here we have the wands. Here we have the ace. The two of wands. Oh, look. Look at that. Looking off into the distance, there's a city. Looks like there's like a little town. There's a city. There's big mountains and other cities beyond it. Wow, we're looking forward and kind of trying to figure out, where do we want to go? What do we want to do now? What am I going to conquer next? There's this town and this city, but there's cities in the distance. There's a lot of things going on. So planning which route am I going to take, you know, and how far am I going to go? So there's lots of planning and decisions to be made and things that can be done. I think I love that. I love that there's just so much on the horizon in this card. So it just gives me that energy of like, of planning and making choices of like how far, you know, like how far do I want to go? How much do I want to conquer? Will I be happy with just making the choice to stay in this nice town over here and not continue to go for the highest mountain? Here we have the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands, I like that. I like the energy of sort of looking out, the two, like the, you know, kind of like standing on their own. And, oh, I just noticed there's like a person in the background. Is that someone sitting or someone watching? That's interesting. Because it almost gives me a feeling of like someone looking over my shoulder, like watching over my shoulder. So like that feeling of like putting in the work, right? And like making the commitment, right? Like we've planned already, now we've decided what we're doing and like really committing to it and laying that foundation. I like the way he's like pouring concrete and laying bricks, and there's plans in front of him. So he's definitely got like plans. Like it's been thought out. But I feel like what's that person doing in the back? Like looking. That's interesting. I'm going to have to think about that one. Like maybe like thinking about how like how are we refusing to let like people in? Like including other people in our decisions, collaborating, like sort of like going out on our own and like not really collaborating. I like that. I'll have to think about that one. So here we have the Four of Wands, pretty traditional. Has that very celebratory, you know, energy. I like the little house. It's so cute. It almost looks like a mushroom. We got the dog. Got a dog. So yeah, it has like that very celebratory energy. Like here we have the fives. Oh, a chicken fight. Here we have a chicken fight for the fives, which I like because there's that drama and fighting and conflict energy. So it's just two chickens fighting each other. So I definitely feel that like conflict, but not, you know, it's a chicken fight. Like they may pluck each other's feathers out, but they're not really going to hurt each other. I get that kind of energy, like that they're fighting, but it's not really like a fight, you know, not a fight to the death or anything like that. Here we have the Six. And I like that. Very like, you know, that sort of recognition of accomplishments. They're toasting her award. It looks like she's won an award. There's like a microphone. It's like that very like, we're like celebrating our accomplishments, success. It looks like she has a lot of followers. Like, you know, she has adoring fans. So here we have the Seven of Wands. Ooh, I like, again, we're having that fist like coming down, that very authoritative fist like we saw in the Emperor card. But everyone's talking at once, like it looks like they're all sort of shouting at this one figure in the middle. Like they all want their opinions heard, right? Everyone has something to say. It's like they all have something to say, but they're not resolving the issue at hand. It's like, and this person with the bricks in the middle is like, oh my gosh, okay, like putting my fist down. I'm putting my fist down, and we need to figure out one thing at a time, or we need to come to an agreement, because there's way too much input. Here we have the 8, which I think is very clever. It looks like a baton thrower, like a baton twirler who has thrown their baton up into the air, and it is now coming back down to earth. So definitely get that feeling of movement, positive movement. You think about throwing a baton up into the air, it's a very swift action. And here we have the 9. The 9 of Wands. And we're back in that intense sort of energy. We think of, I like how he's defending his card tower from cats. Again, I absolutely adore this deck for this genius. Like, we think of the minor arcana of like everyday like occurrences. So anyone who has cats who like repeatedly just knock everything over. They knock everything off of surfaces, with their paws. They're grabbing things with their paws. And here's this young man or young person protecting their card tower, their tower of cards, from 2 very devious and mischievous looking cats. So just that being defensive, having that defensive position, I think that is genius. Okay. Keep going. Oh my God, this video is so long. All right, speed it up. 10 of Wands. Again, the burden, I mean, it's a pack mule, and they're overburdened and stressed and overstretched, and just complete burnout, ready to fall down with all that weight on their back. Here we have the Page of Wands. Again, so cute. It looks like they built like a little box car, and they're about to go down that hill. Oh boy. I love his shirt, has a little dinosaur on it. He's super optimistic though. He's going to make it down that hill. The box car is going to hold. He's very very passionate about this project, and he's super optimistic. Here's the Knight of Wands. I love it. Very like self-congratulatory. Ooh, here we have the Queen of Wands. Very charismatic, very confident, charming, sexy. Love it. And here we have the King of Wands. I love the dolphin in the background. He's captain of his own ship. All right, so here we have the Ace of Cups. We have the 2 of Cups. I love this. I love like that it's like the spotlights on them. This is almost like the future, like what's going to happen, like what's going to come. This new relationship, but this is like them like after they've gotten into the relationship, and they're all like hugging in close. This is them like approaching each other, maybe on their first date. 3 of Cups. We got a great celebration. I love that. I think I love this little person like kind of like sticking their head in and looking, and to me it gives the energy of like they're welcoming another person. Like it's celebratory energy, and it's like friendship, and it's like welcoming people into your circle. Like, right? It doesn't have to just be these 3. It's like, come on. Like, you want to celebrate with us? We're celebrating. Like, everyone's welcome. Like, all are welcome. The 4 of Cups. Oh, so apathetic. Just stirring her drink. And, like, look at I like the faceless options. But then we have the one with the face with the flower. So it's right there in front of you. Well, he's behind you, but he's been there in front of you all along. He's the nice guy. He's the good guy. He's the one with the flower. He's the one that isn't going to roofie your drink at the bar, right? He's the nice guy. He's there. He's got a flower for you. Just turn around and you'll see him. We have the 5 of Cups. Aw. That's so sad. That's a very sad 5 of Cups. With the person sort of looks like they're looking at a photo, right? Like the memory, sort of having that memory. It really of that loss. And then you see the people walking towards the grave. It looks like it's that person with the person in the photo. They're walking towards a cemetery. So it's definitely that feeling of loss and grief. Here we have the 6. I love this. They're little fetuses. They're little fetuses, and then they're little kids, and then they're adults, and then they're older people with canes. So it's that nostalgia, that memory. Ooh, the 7 of Cups. Too many choices in that bakery. So many good things. Which one do I eat? Do I eat them all? Do I just eat them all? Do I just dream about eating them all? Here we have the 8 of Cups. So long. Just not even looking back. I love the 9 of Cups. It's a Christmas tree. And look at all those presents under that tree. Just really reflecting on the abundance and what you have and being thankful for all the gifts that you do have in your life. Oh, the 10 of Cups. We got this just big family and babies and kids and dogs and just a big happy family. Here we have the Page of Cups, which is a chubby little Cupid. Oh, I love this. Oh my gosh. The romantic, right? The hopeless romantic. This little romantic horse and those flowers and just playing his music, being all romantic. Here we have the Queen. Oh, I love it. She's with all her sea creatures. I love that little seal. Oh my gosh. Okay. The King. Oh my God, I love the King. Look at the King. He's like groovy. All right, the Ace of Pentacles. We're almost there. This is a long video, but I just love this deck. Oh my God, I love the 2 of Pentacles, that balancing act. Woo, she's juggling and she's on a tightrope and there's a cat coming to join her. That's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot to balance. A lot of things going on, a lot of concentration there. And she's standing on one leg. So that's a lot going on. Here we have the 3 of Pentacles. We got that teamwork. Here we have the 4. Oof. Someone's being very miserly, just holding on. Look at those arms holding on to all that stuff. I love that it's like a prison. See that? There's like a barbed wire fence. It almost looks like a prison or like just a fence around. Like, so feeling literally being trapped by your own greed. You're holding on to resources and like it's so isolating when you don't share and you don't relinquish some of that physical, like it's so isolating and lonely. So here we have the 5. Aw. And then the little sign in French, it says for food or to eat. I love that there's a little doggy, right? It's sort of like sharing in, they're in it together and like that, He'll like always make sure the little doggy has something to eat too. And here we have the 6. So there we are, moving out of that feeling of desolation and sort of being destitute to this generosity. She's just spreading it everywhere. 7 of Pentacles. We have the 8. Very steady work. Precise. Mastering. Look at that skill. Oof, look at the 9. She is just surrounded by her cats. And she's smoking and she's reading and she's just enjoying life. Surrounded by all these things that she loves. All her hard work. It's paid off. She's reveling in that success. I like this card. That card of legacy and tradition and that family tree and familial associations. I love that. All right, and here we have the Page of Pentacles. Love that. The Graduate. The Knight. The very grounded Knight. I love that he's on like a little tiny horse. It's very, very close to the ground. And then you have these snails sort of leading his way, right? That snail's pace. Just the slowest of the knights, huh? Super grounded, very measured. He's not rushing in. Love this queen, man. Look at her. She's like getting it all done. She's like doing her job. She's playing a tambourine. She's painting. She's watering the plants. She's ironing. She's feeding the baby. Like, she's a multitasker and she's amazing at it. And she is like got it down pat. She's just can do everything and is so grounded and so stable and in control. I love it. And then we have the King. So there we have it. That's the Naïve Tarot by Isa Watt. It is a French deck. To me, it is magnificent. I love all the little details. I know this was a long video, but I hope you enjoy going through it with me and just seeing all the magical and wonderful details that are in this deck. I just think it was brilliantly created. I love the choices. I just love the tiny little details that have added so much to what we already know about the regular meanings of the cards, the traditional meanings. So I really had so much fun going through this. And let me know what you think of this deck. I'm going to link everything in the description box below so that you're able to check it out for yourself and you can purchase this. It did come from France. It actually came pretty quickly. I ordered it and I think 3 weeks later I had the deck. So it was amazing. It was a wonderful shopping experience. So let me know your thoughts and what you think about it. I think it's colorful and fun. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.